Hello and welcome back to Music is the Drug, the Cowboy Junkies podcast. I'm Dave Bowler and I write the biography of Cowboy Junkies, Music is the Drug. In this episode, with the help of Michael Timmins and Alan Anton, we're going back to the turn of the century, days when, prompted by the change of the calendar, we were all taking stock and wondering if our computers would carry on working or if we'd be suddenly cast back to the Stone Age. On the Open album, Thousand Year Prayer represents more than just that, being the moment on the record when the tide turns and the storm abates.
Yeah, it is a turning point in the record, and I think we've talked about when we did the Open podcast about how that the sequence was flipped around. So that song originally would have been very early in the sequence, and when Troy at Rounder suggested we flip the sequence around, it became more sort of the start of the second half of the record, and it's which I think works great. And so a lot of the chaos is left behind in that first half of the record.
Yeah, I never looked at it that way, but it does do that. I just remember it as kind of a millennial, tribute to, turning points and, little turning points in your life and in your calendar and the whole thing. And it was just a sort of a question mark of a song for me, really, like lyrically anyways.
Too little, or is it too much belief in the strength of another man's words?
Doubt is a big thing in my life and certainly in my songs. I never feel like a song is an answer to anything. It's always a question, and doubt by belief or not enough belief. That's what it comes down to, right? That's what doubt is, I think. So that sort of enters in there too. But it enters in the equation. To me, this is a very honest and open and truthful song. It's a prayer, that's what it is. It's truly a prayer, and it's not to a God. It's to the universe. It's to myself, the interior me, and it's doubt is part of prayer, I think. As is belief.
We could probably do with a bit more doubt and a bit less certainty now.
Absolutely. It's health. It's so healthy.
Yeah, if only the politicians we had were.
No, we can't. You're a politician, not allowed to show doubt. That's like weakness, right? Now doubt is equated with weakness. It's like, my God, it's just ridiculous. But that's a whole other issue.
It's strange. The millennium seemed like it was such an important point for some, because of the 2000 and all of that. And it all seems now so long ago and made absolutely no difference at all when you think of all the things that have happened since then that really have changed the world one way or another.
Well, the whole world was going to crash, remember, because of the computers and all that. And I think Sean Connery figured it out in that movie. I forget what it was called. Remember that movie where they steal gold, I think, or something from the towers in Indonesia. Really bad movie, but that's what it's about. He beats the Y2K bug, I think is what I think. Yeah, it was stupid. When looking back, it's stupid, obviously, to put any kind of emphasis on a year, but that's what we do, right? We get into that stuff and think it's meaningful. And
then the sort of the ecological stuff about pulled up the sky till it started to rip and all that. None of that's changed, and it seems to be getting to a point where it's more than critical now.
Yeah, I mean, certainly, yeah. The opening line here, we're all at the end of a century of beauty lost. I think of North America, which we drive around all the time. We're constantly crisscrossing it, and think about 100 years ago in 1900, and it's kind of amazing what's happened. There's still a lot of beautiful parts of North America, but think about 100 years ago, it was just absolute. This is before we started to dam every river. And, before we were just at the cusp of beginning to pump tons of shit into the skies. And, obviously build a country and build a pretty amazing continent, but there was a cost to it. And when you drive around, you sort of think, my God, what this place must have been like, especially on the East Coast, which is just jammed with highways and malls and cities. And think, God, what this place must have been like 100 years ago. So yeah, that opening line and that opening verse really is about that. It's like sort of about that sort of sense of loss. And then it goes on to say, then it goes on to talk about what, the gain as well. So.
If you listen to every Cowboy Junkies record, you're with the band for years and years, it's easy to take things for granted. I mean, you do that with every band, I suppose, that you like. But I mean, there are moments when, and this is one of them, when you listen to Margot's voice and your jaw just drops. I mean, it's amazing vocal.
Yeah, I mean, Open. I think Margot found her voice on Open like really such a strong. Such a strong presence, again, lots of touring. Obviously, we have 10 years, maybe more experience at this point. I guess more than that. So yeah, she's just, and this song, this is just right in her wheelhouse, right? This type of song is just where she sits perfectly. So yeah, she really delivers it.
And Linford and Karen as well are really good on this.
Yeah, I was listening to this song the other day, and it's funny though, like the weird. And again, it's a production decision, which would be my fault. The weird choruses, the little choruses, and the voices are so loud. It's like, God, I think it so kind of totally breaks you out of the vibe. So and that's Karen and Margot when they're doing all these harmonies. And I think I was so enamored with the harmonies that Karen was putting across that I just push them higher. Now I feel like I'd bury them in a nice big swamp of reverb and put them away in the background. But that's hindsight. It doesn't wreck the song, but it's just funny. But yeah, she's great on it, and Linford's piano is beautiful. This is a real this is a very special song to me. It's a very it was written obviously here we all are at the end of the century. That it was written in 2000. Right, the change of the century there. So there was a lot of strangeness happening, and for my life too, there's tons of happening. I just adopted our first kid. We were expecting the birth of our next kid, and we had a third kid being in the process. So it was a very, very turbulent but exciting time for me, and this is more of me sort of stepping back and really appreciating it, right? So I really love this song because it has a lot of appreciation for everything, for time and for the earth and for my life and for those around me, and it was a very, very important song.
It's also got that element of okay, God, what's going on? The thing that you bring into quite a few songs, really.
Yeah, I was going to say I've got to do that. I can be thankful to everything around me, but I can't just be thankful to God because there's been too much thanks given to God. So I got to give him a little dig. So yeah, that little Jimi Hendrix line where I'm basically saying, yeah, you took Jimi Hendrix from us, so give us something back. We give us something back, and we'll walk away and call it even, and not bother each other again. How about that?
We'll be bothering you with another episode next week, but in the meantime, Sharon, the limited edition vinyl release from the band, is out now and available at cowboyjunkies.com. You can also get a copy of their most recent studio recording, Songs of the Recollection, from there or from all the usual outlets. The authorised biography Music is the Drug is available there too. The Junkies are back on the road with new tour dates coming in all the time in North America, all over Europe, and in Australia and New Zealand. Keep checking the website for news of those shows. Don't forget to subscribe to the podcast, like it, share it, tell everybody about it, add reviews, and do all those social media things which help us spread the word. We really appreciate it. If you're a Spotify user, you can follow our growing podcast playlist. All the details of that and everything else is in the show notes. We'll see you next week.
Here we all are at the start of another 1,000 years. All those love stories yet to be told. Ours is this river asleep at our feet, blessed by this wet autumn day.